The Snowman is a mystery thriller starring Michael Fassbender as maybe the worst detective I've ever seen in a movie. He also has one of the worst names ever given to a protagonist, going by the name of Detective Harry Hole. I guess Detective Wrinkly Sack was busy working another case. The detective is investigating a series of murders involving women whose bodies are later found dismembered by the killer. He's told by his partner, played by Rebecca Ferguson, the killer's incredibly specific motive for killing women who have children and is set off by the falling snow. This is a movie that confused the shit out of me. It's made entirely out of loose ends that aren't tied to anything. There's characters played by J.K. Simmons and a very frail and sickly looking Val Kilmer who show up in the movie and then aren't ever talked about or heard from again for the rest of it. As I mentioned earlier, Harry Hole is not that great of a detective. He spends much of the movie clueless to anything going on around him. Also, there's a part where he's questioning the husband of one of the victims, and he just lets the guy walk off right in the middle of the interrogation. I think The Snowman is attempting to wrap the theme of parents and children around its mystery, kind of like the way that David Fincher's Gone Girl did with Marriage. There are parts in it where Harry Hole is constantly reaching out to this teenage boy who I think is supposed to be his stepson, but again, it's just another poorly explained detail in this confusing movie that I just could not figure out. The Snowman's confusion could probably be blamed on a crucial production flaw. The director claims that several scenes necessary to complete the project went unshot, and if that's the case, then no wonder this movie doesn't make any sense. It's not fucking finished. Now time for a movie that I can actually make heads or tails of. The movie is called Thank You for Your Service. The movie tells a story of 3 American soldiers who return home from a tour in Iraq and begin to face challenges they never would have expected. Early on in the film, one of the soldiers, played by Joe Cole, commits suicide after discovering his fiancée has deserted him, and his 2 comrades fear that same fate for themselves. They're played by Miles Teller and Bola Cole. After mourning the loss of their friend, they both begin experiencing the symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder and are not only afraid of hurting themselves, but their families as well. Thank You for Your Service was a movie that I wanted to salute. Unlike blatant propaganda films like Michael Bay's disastrous 13 Hours, this is a movie of only painful truths. We sit and watch as the 2 soldiers get the runaround from a VA benefits office, as well as get put on a crowded waiting list for a treatment facility. This illustrates the shocking and heartbreaking reality that not enough is done in the U.S. for our servicemen and women. The movie is based on a nonfiction book by David Finkel, so the struggles that these American heroes face are authentic and realistic. Thank You for Your Service is a troubling film about the price soldiers often pay for their service. And the last movie of the day is Happy Death Day. Groundhog Day meets Scream in this fun, high-spirited slasher film that just reached the level of passable for me. Jessica Roth plays a typical bitchy sorority girl who finds herself in quite the predicament when on her birthday she discovers that someone she knows is trying to kill her. And they do, again and again and again. She keeps waking up thinking she just dreamed of being murdered, only to realize that it isn't a dream at all. And the only way out of reliving the same day over and over again is to find out who the killer is. Although most of the characters in the movie are little more than stereotypes, Happy Death Day is self-aware enough to work, almost turning the movie into a satire. I also really liked Roth's performance, who has all the makings of a modern scream queen. Happy Death Day replaces the cynicism and pointlessness of most slasher films with humor and a good-hearted message. So in other words, this is a movie that works just by having a good attitude. Happy Death Day has enough small, shining characteristics that help to make up for a premise that almost stretches itself too thin. Thank you so much for watching. I have more reviews planned soon. Until next time, I'm Logan D. McCoy, and this is Real McCoy Reviews.